Blast me to Calamus Skull! It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey, Issue 76, Part 2, Gallery and Battle Report. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. And here we have my finished Invader ATV painted up in the 3rd company of the Ultramarines, up to a nice battle ready standard, and he's even been varnished to help protect against wear and tear when gaming. I've even put on a few transfers just to help bring the model to life a little bit more. And he does have interchangeable weapons. It's a little stiff to do to show on camera, but I can swap freely between the multi-melter and the Gatling cannon for whenever the other weapon will be more useful. I know words, I swear I do. But before we get into anything else, don't forget to, of course, like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as it helps get this channel noticed more and more, and helps me create more mad content for all of you lot. Also, don't forget to check out the links in the description down below, including the Mad Merlin's Patreon and all my other affiliate links and social medias. Right, so, like I said, here is my finished Invader ATV. I've done a quite different colour scheme to what I normally do. I've got it so that it sort of fades from the light blue into the dark blue there. But I still have only done it up to a battle ready level, but I think it looks quite nice actually. I don't normally do blending, but it worked out pretty well. So we will see this guy later on, as he is part of my list. But before we get into the actual battle report, let's have a look at the 2 armies we'll be using, and we'll go through the mission. Here we are then, back at issue 76, and we've got to look at the datasheet before we go into today's mission, and then we'll show you the armies. So the Invader ATV is a single modelled unit, has a power rating of 4, pretty fast moving, basic Space Marine, ballistic skill and weapon skill, strength 4, toughness 5, has nice chunky 8 wounds, 4 attacks in melee, 2 for each of the crew, leadership 7 and a 3+ save. It's equipped with the Onslaught Gatling cannon, each rider has a bolt pistol, and has twin auto bolt rifles plus frag and crack grenades. We've got all our different profiles here. So the Onslaught Gatling cannon is the newest weapon, which is a heavy 8, strength 5, -1 and 1 damage. And twin auto bolt rifles. We've had regular bolt rifles before. These are the slightly faster assaulty version. So they are assault 6, strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage. So your only options is swapping the Gatling cannon for a multi-melter. He has Dangerous Death, as does all Space Marine rules. He has the turbo boost, just like the Outriders, so if you advance with it, it moves 6 instead of rolling. And as it is a vehicle, it has the explode rule. So roll d6 before removing it from play. On a 6, it explodes, and each unit within 3 inches will take a mortal wound. Keywords are Imperium, Adeptus Astartes, Ultramarines Biker, Primaris, and Invader ATV Squad. So yes, you can use it as a squad, as I believe they are 1 to 3 on the full data sheet. But as we are using just these particular rules for the collection, you can only fill them in a squad of 1. A little bit of tutorial here on the Gatling cannon and the multi-melter. So one's a pretty nasty anti-infantry gun, the other one is perfect for taking down tanks and monsters. So we have heavy weapons and a reminder about big guns never tire. So as the ATV has the biker keyword, it is able to move and shoot with its heavy weapons. However, as it is not a proper vehicle, despite having the explosion ability, It does not benefit from Big Guns Never Tire, so cannot shoot its guns while locked in combat. Which is a little annoying, because I thought it's a pretty big vehicle, but I guess it is more of a bike rather than a vehicle. As it is a nice update to the classic attack bike. Yeah, nice little tutorials there to help you remember things during game. Right, moving on then, we've got mission 17, or should I say page 17, mission 16. This is Deep Strike, so our newest mission. Sees the Imperium forces strike at specific locations within the Necron tombs. So we have 6 objective markers, 1 in each deployment zone and 4 in no man's land there. So we have the control nodes rule. So objective markers represent the Necron control nodes. In this mission, if you control an objective at the end of your command phase, it remains under your control unless an opponent's unit controls it in a subsequent phase. So we can easily capture objectives and leave them behind. So yeah, primary objective though is domination. So at the end of each command phase, we get 5 points for each of these conditions, up to 15. So we control 1 or more markers, control the objective marker in the opponent's deployment zone, and we control more markers than the opponent does. This objective cannot be scored in the first battle round. And for secondary objectives, so when players are selecting their secondary objectives, they can wish to choose data extraction instead of any other secondary objective. So each time a unit from your army successfully completes this action, you score a number of points equal to the number of objective markers you currently control. So there's only 1 unit that can do it. At the end of your movement phase, whilst in range of an objective marker, and no enemy models are in range of it, the action is completed in the next phase as long as you are still in range of that same objective marker. So yeah, luckily with the Space Marines we've got quite a few units that we can deploy pretty on top of objectives or get to objectives pretty quickly. So we can start scoring some points early on. But I don't think the Necrons will be exactly too thrilled and will be pushing as much force as they can out onto those central objectives and even going after the opponents as well. So last thing before we look at the 2 armies, our next 2 issues are 77 and 78, which is our Necron Command Barge. So yeah, full build guide in 77, plus our battle record. Then 78, you have a full paint guide, rules, and you get to deploy it for the first time. Right then, let's take a look at the 2 armies I'll be using, starting with the Imperium. Here we have then my 75 power Imperium detachment, and it is a majority of my Space Marines with a little bit of Adeptus thrown in for some extra fun. So leading the force then we have Marneus Calgar, the man himself there. We have a Primaris Lieutenant with Storm Shield, a Phobos Librarian who will be backing up the infiltrators of the psychic powers, and we have a Canoness with the Emperor's Light to help lead the Battle Sisters side of things. Troops wise, my 3 troops are the 10 Assault Intercessors, the 10 Battle Sisters, and the 10 Infiltrators, and the Infiltrators will be getting combat squadded, giving me an additional troop unit, so I can place as many units as I can down on objectives early on. Seraphim will be deep striking. The Outriders, the ATV, will be my fast forward vanguard force. We have the Victrix Guard to protect the characters, and we have the Firestrike Servo Turret as it's growing on me. It's a really nice unit. I'm having quite a bit of fun using it in games. So yeah, my main tactic for this mission is to control objectives as early as possible and start scoring from turn 2. Get the action done on turn 1 so that in turn 2 I can score as many points as I can. And yeah, hopefully just hold off the Necrons as much as I can using all the heavy firepower I can bring to the table. May or may not combat squad the assault intercessors. It would give me a few extra models on the table to go to different objectives, but I do want to use them as a strong centre for the rest of the army. Right then, let's take a look at my Necron army. So here we have my 75 power Necron detachment. Leading the force then we have the Overlord, who is my Warlord, with the Implacable Conqueror Warlord trait, allowing core units to reroll charges. We've got the Royal Warden Plasmancer with Photonic Transubjector, and the Chronomancer. I'm giving the Nanomines a try after seeing them used on Tabletop Donkeys to quite good effect. As the Space Marine force is going to be assault orientated, it'll be quite nice to force them to half distances. For my 3 troops, 2 squads of 10 warriors, 1 squad of 5 immortals. Then for my other units, we've got 5 Lich Guard with shields and swords. The Triarch Stalker for a change of things to use. Canoptek Spider with 6 Scarab Swarms. Canoptek Reanimator. And I've took both the Locust Heavy Destroyers that I have, just to show how both of the different guns work really more than anything. One will be the anti-infantry, while one will be focusing more on the heavier elements of the Space Marine force. So, thinking of the objective, I'm probably going to keep back the Immortals and Royal Warden as a home guard, while everything else pretty much advances forward as a Necron force usually does. Yeah, looking forward to using some of the units I don't use very often. Triarch Stalker, I was hoping to paint up and use my second one with the Gauss cannons, but I kind of got sidetracked with Guilliman. So that will be done, hopefully ready for later issues, and maybe, if not issues, definitely by the time we get around to the bonus 10 and the campaign. And I'm also still working on my second Chronomancer, who's going to be part of a force that is adding strength to the Necrons via Nemazor Zandrek's own personal guard, which these guys are the first unit of. Right then, I'll set up the battlefield and I'll go into our game. See you shortly. Here we are then, all deployed and ready to begin our next battle for Kalma's Skull. So, let's quickly run through deployment. We'll do dramatic reading, then we'll do our pre-game abilities, and we'll get into turn 1. So, starting with the Necrons, they won the roll off to deploy first, but chose to be the attacker. So the Space Marines are now defending, although more thematically it should be the Space Marines attacking, the Necrons defending. But we have 10 warriors, Chronomancer, Reanimator, Triarch Stalker, 10 more warriors, 5 immortals, Royal Warden, 1 Locust Destroyer. In the building we have the Lich Guard and the Overlord behind, Spider, Second Destroyer, Crypto Thralls, Plasmancer, and our 6 Scarabs. And for the Imperium, I've got 3 units here in concealed positions. So we got the 2 5-man infiltrators and the Librarian. The Outriders here, the ATV, Firestrike Servo Turret, Battle System Canoness. Then Calgar, the Victrix Guard, the Lieutenant, and the Assault Intercessors are all up there, with the Seraphim waiting in Skystrike. So, with all that said, let's have some dramatic reading before we get into our pre-game. Deep Strike. Adeptus Mechanicus Magi have divined the apparent location of the Necron's Dolmen Gate. Reaching this objective, however, will be difficult indeed, for it is concealed deep within the Necron's mountainous fortress. In order to weaken the Necron's defense, reconnaissance task force have been dispatched to seize Necron command nodes and power down their dispersion shields and turret networks, thereby giving their allies a chance of breaching the Necron stronghold. A desperate defense. The Overlord's legions have been instructed to control and protect power terminals and power conduits at all costs. The defences must hold until the Imperium's remaining forces can be brought to the battle and decisively defeated. The eyes of the Silent King are watching, and the Overlord has no intention of failing. Capture and disable. Interrogation of Necron amnetic crystals has led the Imperium to a series of heavily defended nerve centers behind enemy lines. Imperial strike forces have been inserted by dropship to seize these locations and deactivate a network of dispersion shields and energy turrets, defending their mountain fortress. Right, into our pre-game then. So for the Necrons, turn 1's protocol is going to be Sudden Storm. It'll go over the extra movement so we can get a little closer to the enemy. Space Marines are in Devastator Doctrine, so we only have the one heavy weapon this game, which is the Fire Strike Server Turret, so it doesn't really matter too much about moving out of the Devastator Doctrine. Battle Sisters, Sacred Rite, I've gone for Divine Guidance, so extra AP on 6s. My Librarian has Smite, Hallucination, and Tenebrous Curse. Our first turn's Miracle Dice is a 3. So, Imperium are on 14 command points thanks to Calgar. Necrons are on the basic 12. And here we go then into Necron turn 1. Gain a command point. And here we go with movement. End of the Necron movement phase, and everything has moved up as much as I wanted. So the warriors up at the top there, advanced, only getting a 3, but it's enough to be threatening that objective. Reanimator put its reanimation beam on those warriors in question, and the Chronometron also went on those warriors from the Chronomancer behind. Triarch Stalker moved up the centre there. Warriors, Immortals, and the Royal Warden held back, staying on the home objective. Overlord and the Lich Guard are, again, playing it cautious for the moment. They don't want to expose themselves too early. The two Locust Destroyers moved up. The Scarabs and Spider moved up. Spider advanced, as he's a little bit slower than the Scarabs. Plasmancer and his Cryptophil buddies just moved up normal. So with that said, it's on to Necron's shooting phase. End of the movement phase. Before I got into shooting, the Royal Warden did do the action on the objective marker he stood next to. So when my next command phase comes, I will score points depending on the amount of objectives I actually hold, which isn't that many at the moment. Shooting phase was absolutely redundant. I did a total of 1 damage, which was to this squad of infiltrators, even though I put the token over there, I've just realised. Because it's the Immortals were the only ones that actually scored any damage on any unit. I rolled 3 shots for the heat ray, and only one of those wounded. So, which was saved, even with the -1. Everything else, I don't think I rolled any better than a 3, and when I did roll a 3, I only did a 4 to hit, which is the reanimator over there. So the Necrons have not had the most beneficial turn 1, so it might be an Imperium victory. Let's find out. There's going to be no charges, so on to Imperium turn 1. That was a very quick movement phase. Outriders moved, Infiltrators stayed where they're 2, the Librarian moved so you can see for psychic powers. Those Infiltrators stayed still, and end of movement phase did the action. Stayed still, stayed still. I mean, I could have done the action of the Battle Sisters, because they're less likely to get interrupted. Assault Intercessors, Victrix Guard, Calgar, and Lieutenant have all moved up normally, ready to interfere with those Necron Warriors. So, yeah, moving up then into Psychic and Shooting phase. Whew, end of the Space Marine shooting phase, and it definitely went a lot better than the Necrons. So, starting with the Librarians and his Psychic phase. He only managed to get Smite off, but it did do 2 damage to that Heavy Destroyer. The Infiltrators put an additional damage on him. The Outriders and the Invader shot everything they had at the Scarabs, killing 2 bases and half killing a third. The autocannon shot at the Triarch Stalker, hit with everything, but due to the quantum shielding, only got 3 wounds through, but that was still 6 damage after it failed all its 5-up saves. Assault Intercessors, Calgar, and the Lieutenant all shot at the Warriors, killing grand total of about 7, but I did get quite lucky with my reanimation rolls. And most of them have reanimated backwards, so it's going to make the Assault Intercessors charge a little harder. Speaking of charges, we're going to go into the charge phase, and one last thing. Before I completed the movement phase, I decided to put down Defenders of the Faith on the Battle Sisters, just to make them a little bit more durable. I've got plenty of command points, so I'm probably going to do that every turn. I did spend 1 command point, though, on a command reroll, which I managed to get back, which was one of the wound rolls for this guy. Right then, on to charge phase. So the assault phase didn't exactly go as planned. Everybody failed their charge, even the one that had a 6-inch charge. I should have saved the command reroll instead of wasting it on the Lieutenant. But with that, it's now time to move into Necron's turn 2. So we're going with Protocol of Vengeful Stars. So we're going to start getting some shooting off and some extra AP. And we will move into Tactical Doctrine. So our rapid fire and assault weapons are improved by 1. So here we go into turn 2. We start scoring points now as well. So Miracle Dice for the turn is a 4. Necrons gain a command point, and I'll just total up their victory points. And the Necrons have scored themselves 6 points, 5 for holding a single objective marker, and 1 point for completing data extraction. Okay, end of Necron movement phase. Nothing moved over there. And nothing moved over there. Locust Destroyer sidestepped a little bit there, so the Lich Guard could pile out through the building. Overlord has followed behind. Other Locusts sidestepped over here. Scarabs and Spider have moved up to swarm objective 6, and he's a little bit too close, keeping them away from that. And Plasmancer and Cryptophores move sideways, so the Spider's butt is no longer in the way. They can actually see these guys now. And the Triarch Stalker has charged up as well, ready to do damage to the Battle Sisters, and maybe even get revenge on that 5-strike server turret. So, let the shooting commence with the shooting phase. Okay, end of the Necron shooting phase, and it went a little better, actually no, a lot better than last time. So, the Necron warriors up there and the Chronomancer poured their shots into the Assault Intercessors, killing luckily though, killing 2 Assault Intercessors. The Reanimator shot into these guys, doing nothing again. The Triarch Stalker shot into the Battle Sisters. Thanks to Defenders of the Faith, needed 4s to wound. So 5 wounds got through, they saved 3, so I only lost 2 sisters. That's not too bad, but they still will need a morale check. Then moving over, the Locust Heavy Destroyer shot at the Invader, getting a mighty 5 wounds on it. Spider tried to shoot at the Outriders, but didn't get anything. Lance from the Plasmancer shot at these guys while he could still see them. Then the Locust over there, Immortals, and even the Warriors back there all tried shooting at these guys, wiping out 3 of them, leaving just the Helix Adept to struggle on his own. So next up then, it's moving on to the charge phase, and we're going to have a couple of little fights going on, I think. Might get that Triarch Stalker in, see if we can get the Lich Guard in as well. Okay, end of Necron turn 2, and the combats that happened have, well, not been too bad. So we'll start over here then. The Scarabs charged in with 5 models, 1 self-destructed, dealing no mortal wounds because it rolled a 1. But with their attacks, they managed to put 1 wound on an Outrider, and I don't know why I've put it on the Sergeant. It should be on the regular dude. Let's put it because he's closest. They did the Outriders, though, sadly. Well, actually, no, they killed a base and dealt a wound to another base back with their chainswords. Over here, the poor Helix Adept got absolutely butchered by the Lich Guard. Now the Phobos Librarian is absolutely petrified. But they've decided not to consolidate, so luckily he might be able to get out of things. I did try to charge with the Triarch Stalker. Sadly, even with command reroll, he didn't get in. The Lich Guard required a reroll thanks to the Warlord trait of my Overlord. They managed to get that without spending a command point. So they failed their initial charge, and they succeeded their second charge. So with that, it's moving on to Imperium turn 2. End of the Imperium movement phase. Just a quick catch-up. The morale tests were passed and passed. And we have scored 12 points because we held 2 objectives, which gave us more than the opponent. Actually, no, I didn't. Oh, that's a point. Those guys now control that one, so I forgot about that one. So they hold 1, 2. We held 1, 2. So that would have been a draw. So, okay, we are now actually at 7 points, not 12. But we did score 2 points because we held 2 objective markers. Luckily though, now we are in possession of 3 objective markers, and hopefully we can do some more damage to get units off of other ones. So the bikes fell back and I used a command point for hit and run. The ATV has just reversed a little bit to face the Lich Guard there. And I've used 2 command points again on the Defenders of the Faith there, while they're in range of the objective marker. The infiltrators over there are holding the objective and doing the action again. Librarian is going for the lesser of 2 evils. But on we go then with the psychic and shooting phase. So, end of the Imperium shooting phase, and we had some pretty good shots going off. So, the Invader did get some nice shots off, but the Lich Guard just shrugged off the wounds. The Outriders here gunned down 2 bases of Scarabs, and leaving one with 2 wounds left. Psychic phase, I put Hallucination and Tenebra's Curse on the Lich Guard because they're the most lethal thing in range. So definitely want them to be denied as much as I can. Speaking of denying, I feel to deny the Witch. He'd need a 11. No, he gets a 5. So yeah, no, that's fine. Shooting over here, combination of, well, the Fire Strike did nothing. The Triarch actually managed to pass all its saves for once, but he did take some damage from the Battle Sisters. Sadly, the Storm Bolter didn't get through, but 2 bolt guns managed to pierce through thanks to the Divine Guidance extra AP. And finally, over there on the Necron Warriors, I have managed to kill a total of 4 in a combination of heavy bolt pistols and the gauntlets from Calgar. So with that, it's time to move on to the assault phase. So the Outriders can't as they fell back, but the Assault Intercessors can. So here we go. That is the end of the Imperium's second turn and the end of that first unit of Necron Warriors. 30 odd attacks, and there was enough wounds gone through that would kill that remaining 4 3 times over. So, ouchie! I totally forgot I should have used the Scarabs Swarm from the Chronomancer. That could have made the charge a little harder for the Assault Intercessors, but I was foolish. But there we go, and it is, yeah, it's pretty good range as well. 18, I would have been in range to target him. Maybe next time, because I think I'll do a tactical withdrawal, let them come to me, but make them nano-scarabed. So yeah, that's it. On to Necron's battle round 3. So for the Necron's protocol, we're going into Hungry Void, so 6s are an extra AP in melee. We'll swap from tactical into assault as we're getting pretty close orientated, so all our pistol and melee weapons have an improved AP. Miracle dice for the turn is a 5. I haven't used a single one yet. Alright, first off, Necron's getting a command point, and they score, so 1, 2... they only score enough for 5, and they do complete the objective, so that's an additional 2, so an extra 7, putting them up to 13. So they've overtook, but only just. So, let's go on with Necron turn 3. Movement phase was pretty minimalistic. Most things just shuffled around a bit. The Lich Guard moved off the objective while the Locust takes their place to hold it. Overlord is moving up as quickly as he can. 1 base of Scarabs came back because of the Spider. Then the Spider moved over to the objective. Other Locust Heavy Destroyer moved up. Warriors, thanks to the relentless march from the Royal Warden, moved 6 inches. Chronomancer and the Reanimator moved back 8. Chronomancer's Chronometron went on the Reanimator, as it's the only thing nearby. And the Overlords will be done went on the Immortals, as that is the only unit close enough to benefit from it. Finally, Triarch Stalk has moved up enough to hopefully not fail a charge. And it's now moving on to the Necron shooting phase. Okay, end of Necron shooting phase, and yeah, it is all changed pretty much. The Warriors, with Relentless Onslaught, decimated the Assault Intercessors, killing 5 of them. To add insult to injury, the Scarab base over there represents the nanomines that the Chronomancer has put down. I've lost another 3 Battle Sisters thanks to the Heat Ray. The Invader ATV is gone. Total of 12 wounds on him, so I managed to chuck on to him 6 wounds, I think, this turn. Nope, sorry, he's on 7 earlier, so he only had the 1 wound remaining. I chucked on an extra 5 from the Enmatic Annihilator, which came up to... was it him? Yes, it was him. And then the Yours Destructor over here killed off a single biker. No, it wasn't. Plasmancer killed the biker. Sorry, he did damage but didn't do anything through. He did damage through, given the 5 damage, D3, D3. I get there in the end, don't I? Yeah, other than that, pretty much that's it. Moving on then to the Necron's charge phase. End of the Necron fight phase, and there's no more Scarabs, so I can't revive any. The Outriders did consolidate towards the Spider, as it got me 2 models in range of the objective to their 1. The Triarch Stalker only killed 2 Battle Sisters with its massive forelimbs, thanks to Defenders of the Faith. They managed to put back a single wound on him, though, thanks to the Superior's Chainsword, and the Canoness will be coming in to help out later on, as will the Librarian. But speaking of, it's time to move to the Imperium's turn, and it's going to be a hard charge for those Assault Intercessors, I think. They haven't got many men left. But time for the Imperium to score some points, and we'll see how things go. Okay, end of the Imperium movement phase. The Assault Intercessors have come in close to the Necron Warriors over there. They are going to be suffering that minus half their charge range when they charge in, though, thanks to those nanomines. So they're going to need at least a 6 in order to get that 3-inch charge. Caragor and the Victrix Guard finally regrouped, but aren't really in range of anything to benefit anything. Librarian is moving up, ready to do psychic shenanigans and help out in the fight against the Triarch Stalker. Defenders of the Faith will expire. I'm not going to pay 2 points. I only have about 8 left. But being 21 points to 13, I think there's a good chance it's going to be an Imperium victory. Especially as, like I said, we've done the objective action over there again. So unless the Necrons divert an important force, they're not going to really clear them off that objective. I think Triarch Stalker was too focused on trying to score that extra 5 points for controlling the opponent's objective, which he might do if he manages to kill the Battle Sisters. But on to the psychic and shooting phase, and then we'll get onto our fights. Okay, end of the Imperium shooting phase. Calgar managed to kill 3 out of 4 warriors that he wounded over there, which has made the distance for the Assault Intercessors a little greater. The Assault Intercessors didn't actually do anything themselves with their pistols. They hit twice but failed to wound. Bolt pistols in combat didn't do any good over here. Did a single wound on the spider from bolt pistols and the auto rifles. And yeah, that's about it. Moving on then to the Imperium's charge phase, it's going to be the Librarian and Canoness into the Triarch Stalker, and hopefully the Assault Intercessors into the Warriors. Although they might go for that juicy character, seeing as he is a little closer, but he hasn't got anybody to protect him. So here we go then with the charge and fight phase. End of turn 3, and surprisingly the Triarch Stalker is still alive. Even though I got through a couple of wounds, he managed to shrug him off. The Assault Intercessors failed their charge thanks to those scarabs. And yeah, that's about it. The only other fight was the Outriders. There's only one of them left and he's on 2 wounds thanks to the claws from the spider. 2 attacks got through, killing off the last rider with one of them and then wounding the remaining rider with the other. I think it is thanks to hallucination that he only got 1 attack and I managed to save on there, because he's at his lowest bracket now on 2 wounds remaining. So he's hitting on 5s, -1 for hallucination, so he's only hitting on 6s. But yeah, I was hoping to kill him, and that might have swung the game. But as it is, I mean, it's still going in the Imperium's benefit. They're 21 points to 13. I've done the maths, and I don't think there's a way Necrons can win. I mean, the Lich Guard are going to take a while to get to that Triarch Stalker to help in that fight. I mean, well, 5 gets them to about here, then a charge into the Librarian or even into the auto turret. But the Space Marines are going to net 9 points, putting them at 30 next turn, because providing they still control this objective, and that objective, sorry, 8 points, putting them to 29. It's still looking like it's going to be an Imperium victory, so I think I'm going to call it there, because I have, sadly, other things I want to get on and do today. So we're going to call it there as an Imperium victory. I may play another turn just on my own to see how it would turn out, because I mean the Necrons really need to put in some extra overtime to win some points back. But there we have it. So all that's left for me to do then is to say thank you all for watching. I will let you know, of course, if I have changed my mind about the victory of this battle, but I'm thinking it's still going to be an Imperium victory. But thank you all for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And, of course, I will see you next time on the Imperium Journey and more mad content. Goodbye.